In this day and hour, with all the craziness going on, all the stress, inflation rising, America crumbling? I don't know. Whether you like that or not, some things are definitely changing. Just want to tap in. How in the world are you handling your stress? Because if you're not finding a way to take stress and turn it into eustress, meaning good or healthy stress, then perhaps you may be on the decline and you don't even know it. Found myself today taking care of some business, and because I didn't sleep so great last night, unknowingly, I was not as focused and razor sharp as I could be. And I didn't know it until I was in action. I needed to be on point. Interesting. We're losing $400 billion annually due to sleep deprivation, which means the majority of us are not getting good sleep. And there are many reasons for it. Why are you not getting good sleep? Put in the chat box. I'm curious down there in the comments. Why aren't you getting good sleep? And what are you doing or going to do about it to make the difference? Because it's not just enough to complain and say, me, I'm not getting good sleep. But what are you going to do about it? I know for me, I was originally just thinking it is because I didn't sleep good last night. But as I delve into it a little bit more, I realized that I've been feeding my mind with a lot of the things going on, whether it's politics, which is a poop show at best overall. What am I going to do about it? How do I feel about it? Do I even want to be in the country when it's time? Like all of those things happening, like those in my world are real things. There's that. Then there is, how do I want to advance my family financially, strategically, with all the things that's happening in the world? Where do I need to position myself so that they're positioned? Like all of those factors are like real things. Then throw in this idea of the BRICS nations and what's happening with the economy. And after a while, quietly, slowly, easily, these things are consuming me, and I'm processing at a rate higher than what I can actually control. Now, what I mean by higher than what I can actually control is this. Many times when we take on the world and everything that's going on around us, we get overwhelmed. Do you want to know why? Because we weren't designed to try to solve all of those problems. And when we overconsume ourselves with what's happening in the world, then you throw in some pop culture things that I've been diving into. Not worth the time, but very intriguing because it makes me think more about some of the things I've been protected from and things I want to avoid. So all of these things begin to create this abnormal overload. Abnormal overload. And when we are in abnormal overload on a regular basis, thinking we're being, unquote, informed, we are doing our nervous system a tremendous, disgusting injustice. And when I slowed it down and I thought about it, the things that are in my heart, on my mind, I'm like, oh, you didn't just not sleep well. Your spirit didn't rest because you didn't take time to overcompensate for the level of information you've taken in that isn't adding, but it's just things to think about and or consumption of stuff. And I know you believe that if we don't know these things, then we're in the shadows. But I'm convinced that it has nothing to do with how much we know, more than what it does and what we need to do to protect our spirits. Because while, yes, all of these things are happening, how are you controlling the arena that you're responsible for and the activity that's within your hands? That's what I call nurturing your spirit. So there are a few things that I do to nurture mine, but before I share mine, I want to give you a second. What's one or two things that you do to nurture your spirit? How do you keep your heart at ease? How do you keep your mind calm? How do you keep your spirit at rest? I know some of you it's going to be prayer, and that's cool. totally works. Some of you it's going to be meditation. That's cool. But I'm curious, what is it for you? And hopefully you can give me an example, but certainly at least the methodology that you use. Here are my few. One, I try to get by water. This is one of the reasons why I'm relocating to water, because it makes all the difference in the world. Some of you probably seen the research recently that came out that talks about when we're around water, it calms our spirit. Well, I grew up as a water boy. We grew up on the water, at the water, always near a lake, and I would always visit the ocean. So being around those sorts of things have become a normal part of my way of releasing, of healing, of breathing, of bringing in abundance. So I gotta get some time around the water. Number two, I was talking to my father the other day about some of the feeling of trying to find, hey, am I on course or am I crazy? Am I on course or am I crazy? So one of the second things that I do is I keep myself surrounded by people who are going to tell me the truth with the understanding of who I am. Because the truth isn't always what someone says. It's an awareness of what's so in a given condition. Now, I know that'll get a lot of flack. I don't care. It's going to. No, the truth is always solid. And that depends on what angle you're looking at it from. But I was having a conversation with my father, and we were talking a little bit about some of the things that I am after. And it was great because he said, son, you're not like most people. He said, not in a bad way. He said in a very good way. He said, but most people have one focus that they focus on. But that's not how you're wired. You are wired. You have multiple giftings that you are after, and you're supposed to have those because that's how you're wired. And if you're not looking carefully, you would think you're everywhere. But if you slow down and think about all the things you told me that's happening right now and what's been happening over the last few years, it's all coming together. That was really cool to be seen by my father. I appreciate that. And then I got my buddies who know me, who if I talk to them in any fashion of feeling like I'm off, they allow room for it for sure. Because if I'm off, then obviously there's work I need to do. We create that space for each other. Yet at the same time, if it's not an off thing, it's a timing thing, because they have had whatever successes that they've had, and we've known each other for 15, 20 years. They bring back scope. Like, hold on. Do you understand? What are you talking about, man? Relax, like you're there. So I keep those people around, not because they're my greatest fans. They know me. So they can also tell me, yeah, you're off. You need to do some work here. Or here's a resource. Check this out. This might advance your knowledge or understanding. So I do that too. Another thing that I do, actually I have a one that I also do is that my kids, they're really cool because, they keep it pretty real, even in their silence. But I got a message today from my son, which was really cool. I spent some time with him in his new home, and it was around the idea, hey man, your presence is missed here. And I imagine that's what it's like when you make deposits wherever people are. And that's super special. So that was nice because I'm around people who see me, who recognize me, and are willing to acknowledge me. I appreciate that as well. And I also make sure that whatever I'm doing, I try to tap into things that it fits in alignment with who I am. So if something's not who I am, then I try to walk away from that and let it go. Maybe I picked it up just because I was interested, and I have to realize, hey, while you're interested, that's not the goal right now, and let that go. You know what I mean? It's what it is. But then there's also another thing that I do is I am learning to be far more vulnerable. Now, when I say vulnerable, I don't mean crying out, oh my God, I'm terrible. No, I just mean, hey, here's how I'm feeling in the moment. And what I'm discovering is that in being aware and open about that to people that I know love me, that are safe, that I can communicate with. While some of them are surprised, even in their being surprised, they're saying, but you know what? That's growth for you. I'm really proud of you, and keep it coming. Because it's okay that you feel that right now. So those are some of the things that I do to help me when I'm feeling all these things, to nurture my spirit so that I, like tonight, am going to rest beautifully. What do you do to nurture your spirit? Because with all the stuff that's going on, if that's not your priority or a very high priority, then you might just get whisked away in all the drama, all the things we call life, and before you know it, you won't even be living. You'll be living someone else's dream, taking on someone else's problem, and frustrated. What do you do?